In the last video, we looked at managing a job and purchasing some material straight to a job. So now I want to show you how you can do a PO for stock. So we'll take our time here and really run through the purchase order module and really get into the weeds of how easy it is to run POs through the system. So firstly, before I open a PO, I'm going to go into my inventory because we're going to buy something direct to inventory now. So I want to see the quantity increase in real time, and I want to see the cost change as we make a new purchase. So I'll just open the first item here in my list, which is these screws. So this is what an inventory item looks like. So I can see all my details and my quantity in stock, my cost, etc., and a few other things. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this item number, and then in a new tab, excuse me, I'm going to do a purchase order. So I'm going to go into my POs, and here are all my existing POs. Again, just like we saw with quotes and jobs, the various stages of the workflow. Again, we can turn on the bucket view and we can manage our POs nicely here. So I'm going to go start PO, and I'm going to pick my vendor. So I'm going to pick a vendor that I already have, but I could create a new one if I needed to. And we're just going to say demo purchase of screws. Okay. So here I have to decide, am I buying to inventory or to a job? Now, as we saw in the last video, if you're buying to a job, you can actually start the PO from within the job, which already links it to the job. If I pick job from here, I need to pick a job from the list. But here we're going to do it to inventory. And I have two options for the shipping method, pick up from the vendor or deliver to company address. So we'll do deliver to company address, and we'll start the purchase. Okay, so now I'm into a blank PO with no line items added yet. Let's take a look at what we have here on the general details tab. So again, we have our vendor. We could swap that out, put in a new vendor if we had made a mistake. We have the order date, which defaults to the day we opened the PO. We can put in a delivery date if we think that's going to be a specific date that it's going to come in. We have delivery instructions and notes. Both of these will go onto the PDF. So let's put something in here and let's say deliver to West Side entrance. Okay. So we'll come back to that in a few moments. We have our payment terms. So all these payment terms are what we build into our admin settings. And you can actually set these against the vendor as well. So I chose my vendor as being Gary Electric. So my default payment terms with that vendor is due on receipt. But if they have, if they changed it to net 30 or whatever, we can change it here on an individual PO, or we could go into the vendor settings and change it so that all POs we cut to that vendor, show with those payment terms. Okay, so if we go back up, actually, let's just do save purchase, as we did add the delivery instructions, so they're nicely in there and saved now. If we go to lines, so we have no line items on the PO yet. So we're going to buy the screws. So I'm going to just paste in the item number that I copied. So I have 1,000 pieces already in stock. So let's select the screws, and I'm going to order another 1,000. So it's automatically given me the cost. That's because that's a current cost. That's the last cost that I paid for it, and it's the cost of what I have in stock right now. But let's say we call the vendor, get updated pricing, and you know what? Inflation, and they've actually doubled in price to 18 cents. Sorry, 18 cents. So we'll put that in correctly. So we're going now to have to order them at the higher price. So we want to see how that affects the cost of all the pieces we have in stock once we close out this PO. So let's go ahead and add that line item. And let's just put in one more as well. So if we go back to our inventory and let's look at these sockets. So I have 2,000 pieces of the socket. Again, I'm going to copy the item number and I'm going to put it in there. And I'm going to order 500 of these. I'll leave the cost at $10 and I'm going to go add. Okay, so I've got two line items on my PO. So now I need to get this in front of the vendor. So I'm going to go ahead and release it. So I go hamburger menu, release PO. And we can send it directly to the vendor through the system as well. So if I go to print PO, and then I can send that to the vendor. Now let's say I wanted to split the lines on this PO. So say you added, that for whatever reason I needed the 500 sockets to come in 2 separate boxes of 250 or something like that. So I can go split lines, pick the sockets here and say split into 2 lines and 250 pieces per line. So often you may need to do that with like wire if you need it on 2 different reels or something like that. However you need it to come. And so once I did that, it split my 500 pieces into 2 orders of 250 on the PDF. Okay, so we can send it to the vendor through the system. So let's just pretend we did that just for the sake of time. And the PO is now with the vendor, and then in the real world, the items we ordered would arrive. So just like in the previous video when we did a PO that was linked to a job, we need to do the receipt now. So we need to go put in our packing slip. So we'll get a packing slip when we receive the goods. So we'll go to the packing slips tab, scan packing slip, and then we will select a sample packing slip here. Upload. Okay, so here's where we do the receipt. And the reason why I wanted to put more than one line item onto this PO is to show you how you can do partial receipts. So we ordered 1,000 screws and 500 sockets, but let's say we received all 1,000 screws, but we only received 100 of these sockets. Maybe they're on back order or something like that. So we can change the quantity to receive on this item from 500 to 100. And then we'll save that. Okay, so the quantity ordered is 500, but we're only going to receive 100. So I'm going to go receive. Okay, and now let's see what's happened. So firstly, if we go to the lines tab, and that detail is confirmed, we received all of the quantity of the screws, but only a partial receipt on the sockets, and that's confirmed up here. So our order total was 5180, but we've only received 1180 so far. Okay, so then let's say that this PO, we get the vendor invoice and they invoice us for everything that's so far been received. So we're going to go vendor invoices, scan vendor invoice, and we'll upload a sample document again. Okay, so now we have the similar screen to when we did the receiving. So it's saying you ordered 1,000 of the screws, received 1,000, you were invoicing 1,000. For the sockets, we've ordered 500, received 100, invoice 100. So this is going to be a PO that's split across multiple deliveries, which means multiple packing slips and potentially multiple invoices. So this one will mean multiple invoices. So let's just go ahead and make up an invoice number here, and we'll save that to the PO. And now we can see the 1180 that we just invoiced is confirmed up here in the summary fields. So just to recap, we created a purchase order for inventory rather than for a job. This is all going to stock. We added a couple of line items, and then we have received and invoiced part of the PO because we didn't receive everything yet. So then when the rest of our order comes in, we're going to do the same process again. So we're going to put in a new packing slip for the balance of this order. So again, we'll just upload the sample packing slip. Okay, so now our packing slip's in there, and it's confirming, okay, you've received all 1,000 of the screws, so the quantity to receive is 0. You only received 100 of the 500 sockets that you ordered, so the balance to receive is 400. So we'll go ahead and receive those. Okay, now again, to close out the PO, we scan the vendor invoice, or we drag it across from our email, take a picture of it, whatever we need to do. So again, we'll just put in the fake invoice, and we'll put in another invoice number, save to PO, and now the full balance of our order has been received and invoiced, and that automatically closed our PO. So again, we ordered 5180, we have now received the full 5180 and invoiced for it as well. So let's go back into our inventory module. Now the PO is closed. So this screw here, so we ordered 1,000, we had 1,000 in stock already, we ordered another 1,000. So let's go ahead and refresh. And now, as you can see, we have 2,000. So once you close out the PO, then the balance of what you ordered gets credited to your inventory. So we'll go into this item and just take a look. And if I go into my purchases tab, and there you go, there's the purchase that we just did, shown up under the purchase history tab here. You can also see in the cost history that purchase 18 cents was recorded as well. So each time you do a purchase to stock, it's going to update the cost history on this item, build up that history. And you can see the POs at a glance as well. There's also reports you can run to see this in more detail, but you get this kind of bird's eye view here right within the inventory details. And if I go back to the details tab, and you can see that it's now updated my unit cost to around 14 cents. So originally everything we had in was the average cost of what we had in stock was 9 cents per piece. Now it's gone up to 13 because we did the second order at a higher price. So that is how you do a purchase order to inventory, receive it, invoice it, check that it's credited your inventory inside of Service 365.